Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this new video. My name is Laura from PleiadianHealer.com, and today I want to talk about what is poisoning you. So this is a topic I've been wanting to discuss for the last few weeks already, and I do believe it's relevant for a lot of people right now, especially over these past few years. So let's just dive into it. All right, what is poisoning you? I think specifically the past few years from 2020 on have probably shown us at this point how toxic and poisonous a certain type of environments and programming can be. And those years were indeed a prime example of poison and the concept that ties into it. Now, poison is not just literal poison, the type of poison that people swallow, that they get in bottles, especially the ones that you read about in fiction or novels. Romeo and Juliet being the prime example, where Romeo swallows a poison bottle because he can't be with Juliet and all of that. So poison does come in many sizes and forms. Of course, the actual poison, the literal poison, was at one point invented and then sold to the people. And oftentimes it did come from certain type of herbs and ways it was processed. What I found personally very interesting about it is that it was documented anytime from 4,500 BC to 1,500 BC already. So it's been a little while. This would also coincide with all the resets that we had. So if you kind of go back to that one video I had, how many resets are we on? Maybe we're on the 6th reset. That could have started literally around that time or a little bit earlier than that. Now, poison does not always mean you will die. It can cause an extreme reaction, and it can also go hand in hand with a detox, which I talked about in a few videos as well. You have different types of poisoning. So first of all, you have the actual poisoning, and you have a physical type of poisoning, which we'll talk about. Then you have a slower poisoning that takes a bit longer to get to you, and that kind of manifests through different diseases. And then you have energetic poisoning. And I also want to talk about the main detox organs that we have in our body. So let's get into the energetic poisoning. Energetic poisoning, I feel, is for most people, especially right now, most likely, whatever you're experiencing in your reality. So with the energetic poisoning, it could very well start with that. And then the poisoning kind of spreads into your energy field and manifests somehow in your physical body organs or in your physical body somehow. Energetic poisoning can be because of people, because of the mind, because of words and energies that don't go well together. If you remember or ever had an environment, let's just say a work environment or even a school environment where people were just really toxic and poisonous, in school that's usually like bullying or being scared of the teacher, those type of things, then you probably know exactly what I mean. And so I feel, especially for people who are adults right now, when they experience energetic poisoning, it can very well be mostly because of their work environment, because that's where they spend most of their time or most of their days. And so you can be very poisoned by that, just the environment you're in. If it's not work environment, it can be an abusive spouse or just certain types of people you live with, whatever your situation is. The mind can poison you, and the mind can also be poisoned by others. So it can be that you have the clearest of mind and the purest of mind, but it can actually get poisoned by other people's words and other people's intentions and just societal structures, like the conditioning that we go through from an early age on. And then you have the poisoning that kind of comes from energies that don't go well together. And I find when you are in a more of a toxic environment or poisonous environment, that is very clear too, because it's just there's an energy clash. People don't really like your energy, let's put it that way, or don't really for some people it's like, okay, I just don't fit into this environment. For others, it's like they just have such a different attitude towards things. So I think we can all agree that sometimes people just don't go well together. And if that just kind of keeps rubbing against each other over time, that's a form of poisoning that can come from that, result from that. Okay, then you have the actual poisoning, aside from the poison that you can take, which I think most people obviously aren't taking, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. You have poisoning that comes from foods, from the skies, whatever's being sprayed into our environment, into our sky, from the water, from every single thing that's in our environment, especially the food nowadays, the food and the water. All the trails that you see in the sky, everything, heavy metals, everything that's in it, all of that is actual poisoning that you do need to detox at one point sooner than later if you aren't doing that yet. And that would be a heavy metal detox. It would be a detox of all the chemicals that are in your food, all the hormones that are in your food, every single thing. You do have a slower type of poisoning that kind of gets to you and is rooted in a longer process. So this could be something like a food poisoning, which takes a bit longer. Food poisonings can take 24 hours, maybe even longer than that. You have stomach upsets. And so stomach upsets are interesting because oftentimes when people have those, usually it's more men than women have those, by the way, because men tend to internalize a lot of their feelings in their stomach area. With stomach upsets, you can have that over years, and it can slowly and surely get into your actual organs and poison you over time. And a lot of that is emotions that are being kept in and not expressed in a proper way, or in a way that would make more sense for you to get the poison out of your system. You also have the slower poisoning of the body with the chemicals, and that can once again come from your own environment you're in, from whatever you're eating, from whatever you're drinking, from you walk outside, you're being bombarded with stuff that's in the air, and that can lead to cancer. So typically, I know it's different over these past 3 years, but typically cancer doesn't just pop up overnight. And so when you're having a form of cancer, usually that needs a little bit of time to manifest itself, to kind of come about, right? And it doesn't usually start with stage 4 or stage 5. And once again, I know it's different over the past 2 or 3 years, so we're kind of talking about other types of cancers that were around before. And when someone does kind of start off with stage 4, or is there a stage 5? I think there's a stage 5. Where stage 4 is pretty severe already, but when someone starts off with that already, which I personally also know a few of those cases that were before 2020, it really does mean that their body's giving you like an SOS sign and is really reacting to, just in general, a poisonous lifestyle or a poisonous environment that you're in. The physical symptoms of poisoning can be many, and usually it leads back to having 6 main detox organs in your body. So no matter if it is an energetic poisoning or if it is a physical poisoning, it goes hand in hand. Because let's just say energetically, as an example, you're caught up in this really toxic work environment, which I know some people were, or some people still are. And so physically, you might have symptoms that go hand in hand with these organs. And the 6 main detox organs are the lungs, the skin. The skin is the largest organ. It spans over your entire body. The kidneys, and people can survive if they only have 1 kidney, by the way. A liver, the colon, and the lymphatic system. And out of all those 6, I mean, these are the main ones. You do have a few more. Out of all those 6, I personally think the kidney, the liver, and the skin are the ones that are going to be the most common for people. Lymphatic system also comes up for some people. The colon also comes up for some people, and the lungs for sure, especially if people smoke and all of that. But overall, kidney, liver are going to be the ones where you have the most symptoms, and skin as well. So people are talking about having skin issues, eczema, acne, all of that. That would be a form of poisoning for sure that you're experiencing. And so the largest organ in your body is the skin. It always goes back to detox. What I personally found interesting, which I didn't know up until recently, but it makes perfect sense. Cacao, which is very much promoted and pushed in the new age, right? Like, oh, here's another cacao ceremony, and why don't you want to taste our high vibrational cacao or whatever? Cacao can actually get to your liver. Who knew? I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I also think cacao can get to your kidneys. If you have the pure chocolate, so we're not just talking about cacao ceremonies, but if you're also eating chocolate, no matter if you're eating the garbage type of chocolate or the high quality type of chocolate, if it contains the pure cacao, which a lot of chocolates do, unless you're doing the white type of chocolate, it will have the cacao, which can get to your liver, and I believe it can also get to your kidney, but I'm not 100% sure on the kidney part. It does seem to get to your liver. You will notice the physical symptoms of poisoning in your hair, and there are just so many symptoms, but I can definitely tell you if you are having kidney issues, you will feel it in the back, the lower back specifically, and you might also have knee issues. Those are just two of many symptoms that you can have related to the kidney. Your hair, I think, is related to either kidney or liver. I'm not 100% sure on that either. But by hair, what I mean by that is, if you're having, I mean, it's related to your adrenals too. And in a form or another, your adrenals are related to the 6 main detox organs that we just discussed. But adrenals can also be related to stress. And so if you are so stressed out that, you're bullied at work, or you don't feel comfortable at work or school, whatever situation you're going through, you have to keep on going back every single day for 5 days a week, the entire year, it will have an impact on your entire body, on your hair, your skin, possibly the other symptoms that we discussed too. And so you might not know that, there's something going on, but if you're experiencing some of these symptoms, it's most likely that it's related to being poisoned. You can look them up online too, or you can get certain books on that too, from naturopaths and all of that. But basically, the way it can work is, let's just say you're in this toxic, poisonous environment that you're really not supposed to be in, and you can feel it. I mean, intuitively, I think a lot of us definitely feel it when we're in that type of situation. But oftentimes we might not even have the choice to leave yet, because especially at work or school, where are we going to go? Like, we need a new job, or we need a new school to go to, or is the next school or job going to be better? So you stay in this environment, whatever it is, or even if you live with someone, right? It doesn't matter if you're a roommate or related or whatever your situation is to them. You stay in this toxic, poisonous situation, and you're like, okay, I can handle this. But then all of a sudden your lungs start giving in, or you have a lot of knee issues, lower back issues, or your hair is really reacting. And it's not even that your hair has to be falling out. It can literally just be very dull, or just not the same hair. I had that happen to a friend actually, who all of a sudden she was in this very toxic work environment. After 3 months, and this is just a contract she was doing, so she wasn't even going to be there forever. It was only supposed to be like a 6 months contract or whatever. After 3 months of being in that high stressful situation, because people didn't really like her there, her hair completely changed the structure. Like, she had beautiful hair beforehand, and all of a sudden she had to buy all these things for her hair, kind of like rejuvenation masks and this and that, whatever. And nothing had really changed in her diet. Nothing had really changed with the water she's using for her hair, because obviously that can sometimes happen too when you move from one place to another, the water changes, whatever. But it was just those type of situations where, when your body's giving you these signals, you need to stop and listen. It would be beneficial for you to stop and listen. And so in her case, it was her hair. I believe it was also lower back and other things. But the main point was, she was in this toxic situation where she needed the salary, she needed the money because she wanted to save up for something, and it was a steady paycheck for a little while. And she couldn't really escape that, but it just turned out to be such a poisonous environment, not necessarily for other people, but for her, where it literally started poisoning her body, because if you're energetically poisoned, it will have an impact on your body. So the first layer, like we already discussed in the physical disease video, is everything kind of manifests in the unseen realm, right? So everything kind of manifests in the astral realm, in the energetic realm, call it whatever. And then it kind of manifests, first it manifests emotional, energetic realm. So those are like the two realms that you can't necessarily see. And then it starts getting into the physical. And then the last SOS by your body is when it really starts pushing major diseases, such as potentially cancer or potentially really severe kidney and liver damage and those type of things into your reality, to signal you need to change something. You either need to get out of the situation, change something about the situation, or just overall, sit back and think about what it is that's poisoning you. So obviously there are many symptoms, but if you believe you are in a poisonous situation because you are experiencing symptoms, look up the symptoms for kidney, liver, and lymphatic symptom. And for skin, I can already tell you, if your skin does not look like it usually does look, for example, you're breaking out or it's super dry or whatever it is, and you haven't really changed anything, like you haven't changed the cream or the water or whatever it is I usually use, that's a major sign that something's not right, and you need to kind of reconsider why your skin is reacting that way. Obviously, it can also be hormonal imbalance or balance, especially for women, but I think you get the point. And so it really all ties into one. Once one symptom occurs, there's always a higher and deeper message behind it. Another thing is, if you notice how something turns more and more poisonous in your environment, you could even notice other things. For example, in my personal life, when I started noticing more psychic attacks coming in, or just more poisonous energy, especially from other spiritual ego gurus that I started dissecting on this channel. I think I told you like a year ago or so, all of a sudden after reviewing someone, there was a random cockroach that shouldn't be there. And then sometimes I would see random rats on the street. And this was very interesting because sometimes I would walk with a person who I wasn't friends with anymore, and we would have an okay meeting, let's put it that way. We really did not have the same attitude on the entire 2020 and how it was handled. Like, this person was full on in the agenda, had gotten her, what's and everything. And for me personally, my opinion, my standpoint on it. So anyhow, we would be spending an okay time with each other, I guess, trying to rekindle that situation. But then on my way back home, I would see like a dead rat or like dead mice, or like rats and mice have a similar message, by the way. A rat is a bit more aggressive in that sense than seeing a mouse. But I would see these dead rats on the street, and of course it's New York. Of course you have dead rats, don't get me wrong. But the point was, usually I wouldn't necessarily see them. Like, I would see them maybe alive in the subway, but not necessarily dead on the street. So I knew exactly that no matter how hard I was trying to rekindle this relationship, this friendship that we had, it probably was just going to poison me in the end. It was just like one of those warning signs the universe gives you before you really put more energy into something or dive into something. I think that's a good way to put it. So seeing cockroaches, for me personally, is always a sign that there's something foul with this person, because cockroaches really don't have much of a purpose. I know if you look up spiritual meaning of cockroaches, spiritual meaning of snakes, you can find all these great woo-woo positive meanings. But for me personally, just because I've been observing this over a longer time already, whenever I see cockroaches, rats, and also snakes, which I don't necessarily see snakes, more like when I see them in videos or documentaries after being in touch with a person. For me, it's usually always a warning sign that this person may be a rat, or something's foul with this person. There's too much BS going on with this person, or this person's literally a snake meaning insincere, dishonest, talking bad about me behind my back, those type of things. So these are just all signs. And it could be signs of slowly and surely a poisonous person trying to seep in, or perhaps even attacking you energetically somehow, or just somehow being in your reality and you needing to be aware of that. Okay, I think that's kind of everything I wanted to say on that specific topic. And I hope this makes sense for you. So, I personally do think that people are affected by this, like not just over the past 3+ years or whatever, but definitely over that time frame. I just feel this is something that's coming up for more and more people. And I do feel if you kind of look at how do I detox these organs, if you, of course, you can always have the right nutrition. And it's very crucial. For example, with the liver and kidney, you need to avoid certain types of foods, like with the liver specifically, no cacao, meaning no chocolate, also no hot cocoa, no hot chocolate, whatever. And also, what you should be avoiding for kidney and liver is sugar. And this goes also when you have cancer, by the way. But so for the kidney and liver, there's certain things that you're just supposed to avoid. There was this one food, I can't remember it anymore, that you were supposed to avoid, which almost didn't make sense because it's considered a healthy food. But you just need to look it up. There's so many lists you can find online at this point, or you can consult someone who really works with that, such as a naturopath or someone who's more knowledgeable about it, who's studied holistic and nutrition. So you can look up the symptoms very easily and you can dig deeper behind it, but your body is going to give you signs. And those signs, if they're not being heard, they're most likely going to turn louder and louder, or even things happening in your reality, as we all know. But especially with your body, because your body is a tool, right? Like your body is your temple, your body is well needed, similar to the minds and the hearts and all of that. And you're going to need your body. So it's good for you to take care of it. And your body is giving you signs every single step along the way. And so it is important to kind of start getting to know it better. And of course, we always know, for example, if you have a cold or a flu, you're supposed to be resting more. It's typically a sign of the body shutting down. And that's because perhaps you weren't shutting down beforehand. So it's giving you that last resort thing. But with kidney and liver specifically, it's more targeted towards the back and the knees, which are movement mechanisms. And so if you don't want to have issues with those type of things, it would be a bit crucial to start getting to it. And so you can combat it, or you can work with it with nutrition and the right food and the right whatever, but you can also work with it on an energetic level, or you can just do both, of course, after you're aware of what's really going on. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for tuning in, and talk to you very soon. Have a wonderful one.